Today I want to talk a little bit about relationships and as they apply to the power of now and the addictive process, and also how they apply to the pain body. And I'm reading both Power of Now and I have read the A New Earth at the same time. So it's very interesting because actually I recommend reading the Power of Now because it's a little bit meatier than A New Earth, in that you can see where Tolle's principles have come from, and you can see where he started the work that he's now doing. You can see where the roots of it are. But what I found very interesting was his part about the pain body and addiction. He does talk a little bit more about addiction in this first book than he does in the second book. He actually has a section here, Addiction and the Search for Wholeness. And he talks about how we're addicted to people rather than in love with them, which is very powerful. And so I wanted to share a little piece of that. And it pertains to addiction in general, not just addiction to people. And he states, every addiction arises from an unconscious refusal to face and move through your own pain. Every addiction starts with pain and ends with pain. Whatever the substance you are addicted to, alcohol, food, legal or illegal drugs, or person, you are using something or somebody to cover up your pain. That is why after the initial euphoria has passed, there is so much unhappiness, so much pain in intimate relationships. They do not cause pain and unhappiness. They bring out the pain and unhappiness that is already in you. Every addiction does that. Every addiction reaches a point where it does not work for you anymore. And then you feel the pain more intensely than ever. This is one reason why most people are always trying to escape from the present moment and are seeking some kind of salvation in the future. The first thing that they might encounter if they focus their attention on the now is their own pain. And this is what they fear. If they only knew how easy it is to access in the now the power of presence that dissolves the past and its pain, the reality that dissolves the illusion. If they only knew how close they are to their own reality, how close to God. Avoidance of relationships in an attempt to avoid pain is not the answer either. The pain is there anyway. 3 failed relationships in as many years are more likely to force you into awakening than 3 years on a desert island or shut away in your room. But if you could bring intense presence into your aloneness, that would work for you too. Anyway, that's the section I wanted you to hear. I just found it very interesting that he's talking about addiction again in relationship to the pain body, which I've already covered in one of the other chapters. And this is a really big deal, because most of what people are dealing with in coaching and in therapy is their past. They're dealing with something that's interfering with them from moving forward, something that's actually blocking them, and it's usually their conditioned responses. It's the story they've told themselves over and over again. And in relationships, the same is true. We've actually been programmed in a way to create the kind of relationships that we knew. So we're going to, have the same old thing. And this is very, very typical, and you see this in relationships. I see it in marriage and family therapy all the time. It goes by many different names, but basically you see the same thing. You see this multi-generational process that's been passed down from one generation to the next, and we basically learn how to interact with other people through our parents. And depending on what kind of experiences we've had prior to our relationships, that's what we know, and that's our life. That's our experience. That's our reality. And so, and there is a way out of it. I mean, he says kind of it's not like hopeless. The good part is once we become aware that we are dealing with the pain body, that we are dealing with an addictive relationship, we can free ourselves from the pain body by becoming aware. And it's not so much about making our partner aware as it is becoming aware of our own presence and our own self, and identifying when we are in that pain body, when our pain body, our conditioned responses of how we grew up are triggered and are activated. And we usually know because We're not acting like ourselves. We feel kind of like we're on automatic pilot, or we're out of control about something. We may feel very emotional about it. So we're feeling, but it's all emotion. It's just kind of raw emotion. And it usually doesn't take much. You usually recognize it in other people when you say, well, I just said this and they just went off, or, this person just did this and the next thing I knew they were, off talking about this. The reason is because we're kind of like spring loaded, We've had all these years of conditioning, and then somebody comes along and pushes the button, and it doesn't take much to activate people. So the way out of this is through consciousness, conscious awareness, and the way to that is through meditation and learning more about ourselves. And it's not just so much learning about ourselves as actually becoming present, because we can understand something and know it, but until we experience it and actually put it into practice, that it really becomes powerful for us. Okay, I just wanted to share that with you, another life example that I had come across, and I noticed that a lot of people were interested in the pain body and addiction. So there you go. Okay, hope you're having a good day.